guys, Bitmaster here. Welcome back to another video tutorial. In this video tutorial, I've been asked by one of my subscribers, followers, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong in the comments there, buddy, but Jean-Michael, I believe, has asked me to do a video on creating a Delphi Registry Editor for Microsoft Windows. Now, I am kind of regretful about this, that I don't have a lot of time on my hands these days due to work and stuff, so I'm gonna have to try to make this video super short. In order to do that, I've already written the program. Unfortunately, I won't actually be doing like super live coding with you on this, guys, because it took me a while and I had to write close to like 700 lines of code. Well, if you minus all the major comments and stuff I put in, I guess it's probably about 600 or 500, hell, I don't know. But anyway, really simple stuff, guys. But I'm just going to go over this with you. On here, I'll go ahead and show you the completed project or whatever. So I'll just run it real quick. As you can see, it's just a. And here, let me pull up my registry editor here for you guys. So as you can see, it's just a basic clone of Windows Registry Editor. So I'll pull this together here. So as you can see, you know, you've just got, you know, your basic stuff here, and it's just a fully blown clone of this. So if I pull this up, you guys can see it's a perfect clone, perfect matching clone, except for the edit view favorites and all that stuff, which I didn't add in. I didn't have time. The import and export works though, and the about, of course, also works. But anyway, so yeah, you can basically like go into the keys and you can look at pretty much anything and everything. So like you've got the ability to go into the keys separately and edit pretty much anything that's in them. Here, I'll try to get to a key where we've got a little more data going on. So like for this one, for example, this is a registry string. You can right click and modify it. And as you can see, you've got like the data that you can actually change in here. And if you hit OK, it'll change it in the registry. I'll try to go down and find something a little more. Let's try to go to current config or something. Yeah, and here's this is a binary registry key, double word entry. So it's in hex binary format. If you wanted to right click on this, you could modify binary data. And then as you can clearly see, it allows you to modify the binary structure. So both strings as well as binary data works. I haven't really done like a whole lot of adding in stuff like keywords and stuff that deals with little endian, big endian. I haven't really gotten really super far into that yet. So it's basically just a simple clone of the registry editor in Microsoft Windows, and that's pretty much it. So this is the completed thing so far. The only other thing I haven't done, so like you're able to get in here and you're able to, you know, you're able to get into this stuff and you're able to change whatever. You can modify binary data, you can delete things, you can rename things, etc., etc. But the one thing I haven't done, and if you'll notice here on the right, that would be like going right click here and having the new menu. These are the only things I haven't done. So if you pay attention to the GitHub repo, I may add this in later this afternoon or maybe sometime this week or something when I have some time available. But this is the only feature so far that I haven't really added in, other than some basic stuff like find and find next and just basic stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the completed product so far. Literally, it didn't really take too long to make, maybe like 30 minutes. And I had AI help a little bit because, again, I don't have a whole lot of time, guys, but it did a really good job. I had to correct a lot of mistakes and stuff, but it did really speed my process up. I really recommend that you guys start using AI. It's getting a lot better today, and it can really help you out. See all these comments and stuff? I told it to go through and comment the code, and it like added all this stuff. It's literally perfect. So I'll go ahead and start this off. So let's go ahead and get started here. Let me open this back up real quick for the Windows Registry. So let me pull this back so it's just defaulted. So a lot of you newcomers out there probably don't get like what all this crap is. So I'm going to explain it to you. And we're just going to pretend like we're starting out fresh. So you've basically got, you know, this idea to code Windows Registry Editor. You've opened up Delphi. You've started a new VCL application, and now you got to start building this stuff. So I'm going to explain what these components are. So this one up here, let's start from the top and work our way down, okay? So File, Edit, View, Favorites, Help. This whole thing is a main menu, okay? So you need to drag and drop a main menu component to your Delphi form, and that's what I've done here, this main menu thing here. And then you can double click it, and that'll bring up the form designer, like the menu designer. So as you can see, I only put File and Help because I didn't want to do the Edit, View, and Favorites part. I haven't added that in yet. I might add that in later, guys. Keep an eye on the GitHub repo. I might add it in later. But I did add in the import, the export, and the help, and all that. So that's what you need to do. Just make it look exactly like this. If you're trying to clone that, make it look the same. Okay, let's move back over here. So in moving downward, this portion here is just one big long edit box or a memo. I'm pretty sure it's just a single line edit box. So that's exactly what I put on mine. So here, look, I'll hover over it. See, it's edit, T-edit. So just add a drag and drop a T-edit. Make it the full length of the application, and then you guys are probably wondering what the hell is this thing with all this icons and crap in it. This is called a tree view, okay? So over here on the project, I just drag and drop a tree view component onto the form, and that's that, okay? So then you're probably wondering, okay, last bit, what's this thing over here? This is a list view, okay? And it's in report mode. So you just drag and drop a list view over here, and then you can put it into view style VS report, and you can right click on it and go to columns editor, and you can add 3 columns: name, type, and data. And you want to make sure that those are auto sized to true. So if I run the program, you'll see that it autofills from the registry, and then anything over here shows in name, type, and data. So if I click on something, you can see the name of the thing, the type, what it is, and its data that should be saved in the registry. All right, so it's super, super simple so far. That's the graphical makeup of the entire application, right? So what is it, like 5 or 6 components total, honestly? It's a main menu, an edit, a tree view, and a list view. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 things, literally. And that's like it. Unless you want to go the extra mile. Now, if you want to go the extra mile, it's kind of a lot to tell, but behind this tree view, I'm assuming they put like a flow panel, because on the actual app, you have a splitter here, which you can drag like this. You see that? Why anybody would do that, I have no idea. It looks like awful. But so you would put a splitter over here and split these two in half, like this on the left, this on the right, and then you would be able to drag that splitter. But you have to add a flow panel behind this component, and then you would have to add like something over here behind this one to match up with it, and then you would have to anchor the top, left, right, and bottom anchors of the tree view and the list view to match the underlying component. I know that's kind of weird, guys, but whenever you do this, the the splitter would control the underlying width of the components that you kind of attached it to, so to speak. So when you do this, the anchors take control, and these components would stick with their parent component underneath them. So whenever you move it with the splitter has the ability to modify the underlying parent component's width, if you will. And that's what also therein for by changes the children, that being the tree view and the list view, along with them. So if you want to add that in, you're more than welcome to. I added it in and had it working, and then I broke it, so I didn't want to mess with it anymore. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Plus, I mean, what more do you need than a simple registry editor like so? I mean, this is perfection. I don't see why anybody would need anything more. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get started talking about uh, what it took to make this, the programming behind it, etc., etc. So guys, you're messing with the Windows registry. So the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth, and 10th thing you're going to be worried about is registry, right? So let's go to the top of the code here. In your uses clauses, your uses clause statement, you're going to want to make sure that registry is put in there. So whatever you're doing, stop doing it, go add that right away. Because in order to mess with the Windows registry, you need the proper Windows API headers for Delphi to be able to do that, and that is going to be a TRegistry. So the base class, the base core class of TRegistry lies within the registry's uses. So if I hold down Control on registry here, let me do this real quick. It should pull up the system.win.registry. Or just for short, you can just put registry, okay? And see, this was made back by CodeGear. This is the CodeGear Delphi runtime library for the system Windows registry. So just make sure that you put the word registry in your uses statement, okay? Might also add math, because we will do a little bit of stuff with math later. And that's pretty much about it, guys. It doesn't really take too much to build one of these bad boys. So just registry in that, registry in math, and then what we have to do, you have to really think about it. Like, it's going to tell a story, right? Like programming tells a story. So when you run your registry thing or whatever, you want it to go into the registry. I keep closing my registry. I'll just leave it open from now on, guys. But basically, what Windows Registry Editor does is it loops the registry and it grabs everything for your computer. So it puts a parent node in the tree view called computer with a little computer icon, right? And then it starts looping all of the different keys, which you have the hive key. H key stands for hive key. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone knows. I think it's hive key. So hive key classes root, hive key current user, hive key local machine, hive key users, and hive key current config, which is the current configuration. So for this computer, I'm guessing. So essentially, what you want to do is mimic this. So in order to do it, we need to get some stuff set up. So you're going to want to, like, as soon as your program runs, you're going to do the onCreate event procedure of the main form. So you would go in this code. And I just put like the caption there, but that's just kind of stupid. I don't need that code actually, because I already have mine made up here. Like I put Delphi Registry Editor. So now when I run it, it shouldn't say Registry Editor, it'll say Delphi Registry Editor. But in any case, in this code, you want to set up your tree view. So I'm telling the tree view that I want it to indent by 19. I want show root to be true. I want the images of the tree view to be image list 1. And actually, I'm going to erase this. Not really needed in code. You can just click on this and make it the images of your image list 1. That way you don't have to code it. Okay, guys? So we're doing the indent, the show root to true. We're also, I'm configuring my panel alignments. You guys can pretty much ignore if you don't put panels on your program, so you don't actually need to worry about these. But the tree view, I'm aligning it with the client so that way they line up with the panels. So basically, you guys don't even need this at all. Just ignore, okay? But here's what we are going to have to do, okay? We're going to have to create a registry, a TRegistry component in memory, and we're going to have to be able to then use this for the lifespan of our application. So if you'll notice, at the top, I have a private variable declaration for registry, and it's known as a TRegistry. And as you can see, it's a registry access object. We're going to be using this to do all the magic for the entire program. It's going to be used for every bit of this. Okay, being able to loop through all this crap, be able to read from it, do stuff with it, whatever. It's going to be a big thing, guys. So that's why I told you have to add registry into your uses statement, because we have to be able to use TRegistry to be able to get into the registry and do anything and everything at all, period. So back on to the form create. We're going to set up all of our crap. We're going to make our registry create itself for the remainder runtime of our application. And then I wrote a little procedure which we're going to use to initialize the registry tree view. Okay, so that's, again, when the program runs, the first thing that happens is what? Boom, this, right? We're going to do this, and this. Now, we're not doing anything under them. Like, you'll notice that when I click this, it loads, sure, but that's actually a different event. Nothing happened. Like, it's just computer, root, user, machine, users, and config. That's all we're doing right now. Super simple, so don't be confused. And again, whenever you open the other Windows Registry Editor, it's the same thing. It's just grabbing the root, the user, the machine, the users, and the config. Until you double click on one of these, nothing else happens. Follow me so far? Okay, so let's go back. So on this, let's go to this procedure. So we're here now, and what we're going to do, we're going to create a computer node and a root node, and they're both going to be of type T-tree nodes, okay? So let me reiterate that. Anything that goes into a tree view is considered a node, a T-tree node, okay? That's why we have to declare the computer node and the root node as T-tree node. They're of type T-tree node, type tree node, right? So the first thing we're going to do, and this is just a kind of a, here, I'll just put a comment. Ensure the tree view is cleared. Kind of no purpose for that because the program just started, so there's really no point unless you're going to reinitialize the tree over and over during the process of the runtime of the application, in which case you do want to make sure the tree view keeps getting cleared before you add stuff to it, okay? So the first thing that happens is we're going to make sure that the tree view 1 is clear, just like it is right here. It's completely clear. Here, I'll remove that crap so you can see there's nothing in it at all, right? Not even at design time. So we're clearing it out, and then we're going to start adding some stuff, right? So we're going to have to start filling it up with all of this stuff so we can start browsing our registry, right? So the first thing to be added is the computer, which is our computer, right? It's supposed to be the representation for our computer. So I'm doing items.addChild nil computer. Now, okay, so guys, let me make this very clear, okay? This is super easy to understand, okay? So take a look. You'll see that we have computer. And then underneath computer, look, I'll bring this up. Everything is inside of computer. Okay, so if you pop that down, this is a key. So these are all called child or children nodes of their parent node. The parent owns them, right? Kind of like your parents own you until you're like 18 or whatever, right? so that's kind of like it, right? The computer thing at the top is basically God. It owns them, right? So it can do whatever it wants to them. It can make them wage war and kill each other for 1,000,000 years and all that cool stuff, right? I'm just kidding, you guys. Relax. Okay, so look, we put nil because computer is basically the parent and control over everything. It doesn't have an owning node. It doesn't have a parent node. That's why we put nil, okay? So we're just creating computer by itself, and it's going to be image index of 0 and selected index of 0 for its image index. So, and let me show you. I didn't mean to close that out, but let me show you this as well, guys. Like the images, you're going to want to throw down an image list component, and inside of that image list component, you're going to want to put some stuff. Okay, so I got a little image of a little computer there, and I've got a little image of a folder, and then I had to go online and look around and try to find like icons for binary data and string data inside of registry. I finally gave up and found it in some DLLs in Microsoft Windows. I think it was like, I forget which one, images something 32 DLL or something. I just ripped these out of the DLL in Microsoft Windows because I got sick and tired of looking around the internet for basic stuff. But I did get the folder from some other stuff and the computer as well. So all you need is a computer icon, a folder icon, a binary data icon for the registry. Because if you'll notice here, I'll actually open up registry again. So like right here, you see that? Like you see, this is a default reg.sz string default value. And you can come down like here. I'll try to go to like here. Let's pop back up and pull this up. If you go into like this, you see how the default stuff and any strings that you have, they're actually like here. I'll try to find something. Yeah, I can't really find much, but basically the log pixels and the default are good enough representations. The default stuff is pretty much in everything, and it's just a default string value, which is not usually set. I think it's just there to display that this section is legit and real and exists in the registry. And then log pixels is a binary data, or a double word in this case, binary data. So if I were to modify this, this is the actual like binary data that you can modify and whatnot. So again, guys, you just need the icons for these, because if you don't have the icons for them, like just imagine like Registry Editor with no icons would look really stupid, right? So that's basically what I'm trying to get at. You just want to make sure that you've got icons for all this stuff, okay? So yeah, so just make sure you've got your icons lined out. Take special note of their index inside of the image component. You've got 0, 1, 2, 3. So if you do it like I did, you've got computer at 0, folder at 1, binary data at 2, and string data at 3, okay? So going back to this, we're adding computer, and it's obviously index of 0 because why? Because the computer's index is 0, right? Got me so far? So then you're going to add the class's root. So you're going to add a child node, and you're going to make it a child of, and remember how we put nil up here for computer? Now we're going to put computer node, computer node, computer node, and computer node for the rest of them, because their nodes are children of this computer. So this is a child, 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 parent. Get it? All right. So then what we'll have here is we're putting all of our children under it, and we are assigning data to the pointer of HKey class's root. So that way, whenever we click on any items in here, so if I were to go like, let's see here, let me see if I can do an on click. Let's do save. We'll get to it later, guys. Whenever you click on something in here, every item or node has its own underlying data property. So if we set up that data property to just be a straight up pointer to whichever key we're trying to mess with, it's a lot easier to keep up with in memory, and I won't have to like sit there and code like a different function for everything that we have to click on. It just knows exactly what we're doing. You get it? Like it knows what we've clicked on. It knows what we're trying to do. So let's hop back over to that. So back here, we're just adding in the class's root. We're adding in the current user, the local machine, the users, and the current config. And keep in mind, these values are changing. Like, you see how we've got 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. These stay the same because they're the folder icon. So if you like double click here, you'll see that the folder icon is 1. And what happens when I run the application, we actually see the end result. Each of these is a folder icon. And that's because in the original one, they used folder icons as well, you see? So that's why I did that way. Now, once we're done doing all of this, we just want to say that the computer node.expand is false, because generally, whenever you add all the stuff, it's already expanded from the default one. So that's it. It literally just, that's all we've done, guys. This whole thing is easy peasy to understand. We haven't done any major like digging in the registry or anything. All we've done is just add computer, root user, machine users, and config, and that's it. I mean, that's literally it. So when the form runs and the application runs, the only thing we're doing is this. That's it. It is that simple, guys. We're just putting computer, this, and this. And whenever you click on them, nothing's going to happen for you. Like you're not even going to see this. Like I haven't programmed that in yet with you. So we just got all of our H keys from the that are existing in every Windows registry in the world, and we just threw them on there. And that's it. We didn't even bother to go in and loop them. We just did it, hard coded it by hand, right? And then so now, what is the next step? Well, the next step would be to get to this data, right? So you see how I'm like taking you guys down a chain of like thought like logic. Like you want to first things first, right? You want to design your GUI, make it pretty. Then when you run it, you want it to do the first step, which is to grab all the H key stuff so you can start working, right? So whenever whenever you actually like click on this, you're gonna want to be able to click on this. So like if I run this, you're going to want to be able to click on these things, and as you're doing the event of click on whatever you've selected here, you want to see stuff pop up in here that represent what's inside of that. This can all happen on a different event. So guys, let me take you through this right now. This is super, super simple stuff. So on this, on the tree view, we need to take the next logical step, which like I just told you is to get this data to show up in here. So when you click on this thing, like, so if I run this real quick, just to show, I know I hate to do this so slow. I'm not trying to treat you guys like you're silly or dumb. A lot of you are brand new to programming and stuff, so that's why I try to over-explain things. When you open this thing up and we get all this stuff, when you click on these things, see, nothing happens for computer because computer is technically not part of registry. It's just kind of a placeholder type thing for this machine, right? But if I click on any of these, like click, you see how instantly, like I clicked it one time, instantly got the data that's within that key, right? I haven't expanded the key. I just clicked on the key and I got some data over here. There's a default registry string value in just about everything. This one has more. This one has a default. It has height, left, state, top, width, word wrap. So it's got like a strings and binary data in here, which is pretty cool, right? You got all kinds of stuff you can look at, and you can click on this and this and this, and they just got defaults. But the current user does have a little bit more because that's how it was designed for Windows, right? So this is what we're going to achieve now. Now we're going to take it a step further later when I say if we double click on something or we expand it, you see this? See, I clicked on that and it literally got the entire registry entry for that entire key. You follow me, guys? So, but for now, we're going to keep it simple. So let's move on. When you click one time on this, we need to grab, and I'll show you one more time. We need to grab whichever one we clicked, and we need to show its data in the list view. That's what we're going to achieve right now. So when you make a click on this, it's got some events, so make sure you go to your object inspector, go to your events. I'm not going to use, believe it or not, most of you guys probably think I'm using onClick. OnClick, I have nothing written in here, so I need to actually just delete that. But I'm not going to use onClick, okay? Because I think I've pretty much found a better way. We need to just simply put it on change, okay? As silly as that might sound, it actually works much better than the simply on click. So on change, I'm going to double click this. So this is the code for the on change. So let me simply explain. If the node that we have currently changed to is not nil, which means we did in fact click something in this list, that means we're going to be able to proceed. So we're just doing a basic check here. We're saying if we didn't click anything, well, we're just going to have to fuck off. It's not going to work. But if something is reported to the node, the ttree node in this event, or this procedure for this event, which is on tree view one change, then we're going to proceed. So if the node's level is greater than or equal to 1, then we're going to display the values and update paths. Okay, so we're going to, I wrote a thing here called display values, and it's going to get the node's path to that node, and the edit one text at the top is going to change to that node's text. So like, as you can see, we'll run it again. If I click on this, then we're able to see the data in there, right? I'm actually, guys, I'm gonna have to like pull this down because I think I've covered up my edit box. So let me pull this here. Let me just pull this stuff down. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize I had a small glitch with my stuff, but it's all fixed now. So basically, when you click on this, you're gonna see the data, but you're also gonna see the path. Okay. So like if I were to expand on this, we can see clearly that, you know, this is the path where we go to the node or whatever. I really should fix that where it actually shows the parent plus this, which should be able to be done easy enough, but we'll worry about that later. But so for now, when we click on this, we're getting the data to whatever we're in, and then we are showing its path to where we're at up here, okay? So let's go back to the onChange event procedure. So as I said, if there's no node selected, we're going to just kill out. We're not going to do anything. If the node's level is greater than or equal to 1, which means we're not really selected on computer or whatever, because computer is not actually a thing, it's just a fake kind of placeholder, then we're going to display the values of that node's path, and then we're going to change the edit one text to our node's text, right? And then we are going to say if node's level is greater than 1, then we're going to actually get the node path to that node as well. Otherwise, we're going to go to else and say, no, we've selected the computer one. So that means that we're just going to clear the list view because there's nothing to report back. And we're going to say edit one.text is equal to computer because we selected the computer node like this. See that? All right. So now I think you guys kind of get that. So let's move on to this portion, which is actually display values and get node path. First of all, let's go to get node path real fast. This is actually going to set a result to nothing. This is a function that returns a string. We're going to set the result to nothing because we're going to do kind of a little three-way check thing here. And we're going to try to get the result of the node, the tree node that we're actually selected on, get its path. So we're going to say while the node is not nil, and the node's parent is not nil, and the node's parent.parent is not nil. Yeah, I know, it gets deep. Then we're going to say if the result is nothing, then the result is just the node's text. Okay. Else, the result of that node.text should be followed by a backslash and then the result, which is just the node.text. So I'm guessing that I may have written that a little incorrect. I mean, we've got this one working okay, but see how whenever we do stuff like this, yeah, you see this? It's only grepping the part that comes after the parent's parent. So I'll have to like edit that a little bit to make sure that it includes the H key stuff and whatnot. And we may do that later in the video, but in any case, as long as you guys easily understand what this does, it just simply gets a node path and shoves it into the edit, right? Now let's head back over to the onChange event procedure of this. Okay guys, so back in the TreeView onChange event procedure, I've shown you what get node path does, or is supposed to do. And then this is the display value. So we're coming from the inside out, okay? So we're going to now display the values of the path of the node that we just retrieved, okay? You follow me so far? So on the display values, let's go ahead and go to display values, and I'm going to read through that code. Okay, and it's a little bit, so just kind of bear with me. First of all, we're going to have to declare some variables, and one of them is TRegistry. The value names, we're going to put that in a T-string list. Now, a T-string list, guys, I'm sure you guys probably know this. It's just a bunch of text, and then like it's like a bunch of text and then a bunch more text and then a bunch more text and then a bunch more text. It can be like a big long string, or it can be like multiple lines of different strings. Okay, that's all a t-string list is. Okay, so obviously we're putting the value names into a t-string list. I is for a localized looping variable if we need it, and value type is TRegDataType. This is actually a Windows API class. If we click on that, it goes straight to System Windows Registry. As you can see, the TReg data types have unknown, RD string, RD expanded string, RD integer, RD binary, binary BE, link, multi-string, and int64. Now the int64 and some of these others deal with like little endian, big endian type beginning ending stuff, which I'm not going to be covering in this video. And in fact, I didn't even put all of these into I don't believe I actually put all these into the stuff. I only put basic stuff like the unknown, just in case. I put the string, expanded string. I think I put in integer, binary, and I believe I put in multi-string, and that's about it. I didn't do anything with int64 or any of the other stuff. So let's go back to this. And we're going to kind of just read through this. So the item is a t-list item because that's what we're going to be throwing onto our list view component right here, okay? So first of all, when you click on something in the registry to be able to get all this to show up, you want to clear out the list view from any previous results that may have been there. So when you click on it over here, every time you click on something over here, believe it or not, it clears this out before adding again. So it clears it out every single time before adding it again. That way it gives the refresh, it kind of gives a simulated refresh that everything is brand new, right? So I'm just clearing out the list view, and then we're going to say if the selected node is not nil, or actually if the selected node is nil, then we're going to exit. It means we didn't select anything, okay? So like here, let me show you. If you run the program, there's nothing down here. So if I keep clicking down here, nothing's happening. Only the computer was selected. Nothing else is happening. It's just exiting every single time I click, right? Because we didn't select one of these, right? There's nothing to be selected down here, so it does nothing. It just exits, okay? So then what we're going to do now is we're going to say if the selected level is less than 1, we're also going to exit. This is skipping the computer node, okay? So these two act together to basically allow you to make sure if you click nothing, nothing bad's going to happen. You're not going to get an access violation. You're not going to accidentally pass null values onto this code to be able to let it do its thing. Nothing bad is going to happen. It's just going to exit, okay? Okay, so now we're going to start the real code. So the reg, we're declaring reg as a TRegistry create, and we're going to be in read mode because we're not modifying keys at this point. We're just going into the Windows registry and looking and pulling stuff out, right? We're not editing. We're just reading and pulling it out, right? No touchy, like no touchy. Okay, we're not gonna put anything in there just yet. So the value names is going to be equivalent to creating a t-string list. We're gonna set up our variables. We're gonna create our registry in read mode. We're gonna set up our value names as a t-string list, and then we're gonna start programming. Okay, so we are going to say that the registry's root key is equivalent to an H key of our selected data. And remember from earlier how I said that .data property, how it just knows how to keep up with shit? That's kind of what I was talking about. So right now, the selected data that's currently like highlighted in this tree view is the data for the key, the H key that we're currently browsing around in, okay? So if the registry is able to open key read only mode, no touchy, right? To the key's path, okay, then this is the key path that was thrown to this procedure from earlier, if you'll remember, okay? So if we're able to open that key in read-only mode and we're able to look at it, this is going to be fantastic, right? So we're going to say here's a new item. We're going to declare an item is adding that item to our list view. Its caption is going to be default. Okay, because there's usually always a default, guys. So I'm not actually pulling this from the registry per se, but what I am is I'm just manually putting it in because it's always going to be there. Here, watch, I'll prove it. So like if you pull this up and you click on this, see default, 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 default. It's always there. No matter what you do, there's always a default everywhere in the registry, no matter what. Right? You see that? Default, default, default. Everywhere you go. So that's why my decision to hard code that in was there, okay? And we're just going to make the sub item of that a reg SZ. Why? Because that's what it is everywhere, okay? So that's what I did. And then the image index is 3 for a string valued icon. And if you'll remember, inside of the image list, we put the number 3 index as a string looking thing. AB represents a string, right? Okay, so you guys follow along so far. We're going to try the following. If the sub item is able to add, we're going to add it as reg read string, nothing. So on exception, we're simply going to put, on exception, we're going to put value not set. Okay. So if we can add the nothing, that's great. If not, we're going to say that there's no value set because there's nothing here, so there's obviously value not set. And if you'll notice in this, you'll see value not set in the data field for the default. You get it? Okay, so then we're going to say registry, get value names, value names. We're going to sort them, we're going to loop them. So that's the same thing as going here, like right here. It's going to grab this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. It's going to sort them all, and then we're going to loop through them and we're going to add them to our stuff. So we're going to say if value names I is not nothing, which means there has to be something there valid to put in, right? Then we're going to get its values type by saying registry get the data type of the current thing we're looping over, right? And we're going to say item create. We're going to do its caption, which is the caption of the looped item. We're going to get the data type of the value type that we already pulled from that item. And then we're going to also get and put on there the data's value, which is get reg data value, which is another Windows API call. And we're going to loop over that one and we're going to throw it in there. So it's simulating. When you click this, it's going to go through everything, right? It's going to get its name, type, and data and throw it all on there, right? And then down below, this is the last portion. So everything's on there, but you have to pretend like there's no icons yet, okay? Like follow me so everything's here, like default height, blah blah blah, and the type and the data. It's all there, but the value type, the icons are blank until this code right here executes. Okay, so what we're doing at the end is we're doing a case statement, which in Delphi case statements can be done integer based. So I'm doing a case value type of, and the values type is TReg data type. So it automatically goes to an integer, I believe. Here we can actually double check. So if you'll notice, yeah, it's actually, these can actually be converted to integer values. So down below, like where I was saying, we're saying that if the value type is of arty string, expanded string, multi-string, anything like that with a string value, we're going to use a string value icon, which is number 3 in our image list. Now, if it's a case of integer or binary, then we're going to use the binary icon, which is in placeholder 2 of our images. Else, we're just going to default to a binary. Okay, and then that's all we're doing, guys. And then after we're done with all this crap, we're going to close our reg key because we no longer need it. We're going to free up our strings list because we no longer need it. And we're also going to free our registry thing there because we no longer need it. And that's it. That's all that procedure does, guys. That's all it does. So when you click on this, boom, it puts it all in there. Boom, it puts it all in there, and it gets the images and puts them in there correctly. So it shows up nice and pretty for you. That's all you're doing, guys. It's that simple. Okay, now moving on to the next section. So when we run the program, we're able to get a list of all our stuff. We're able to perform the clicks and the change events of when we click on these and see stuff in there for the basic stuff that we're clicking on, right? So half of the battle is pretty much over at this point. All we have to do now is figure out how we're going to do the following. Like, how am I going to, when I expand, keep that keyword in mind, guys. Expand, very important keyword here, because as a tree view, we expand these, right? So if I expand this, which I just did, it loads every single child and subkey that we have available for the entirety of our Windows registry. And I can just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling for 14 miles, right? Now you see all these that have an arrow next to them? Those are generally like stuff with other children inside of them. So if I wanted to, I could click on these and open them up and then see how this one has something in it, and I can try to go into this one. It doesn't look, it has a thing there, but it doesn't let me go into it. That means there's no more child stuff inside of it. So that's the only one inside of .ps header or shader or whatever that is. That's the only subchild it has. So we have to figure out how to code this. We got to figure out how to like double click this stuff and expand it and be able to get the rest of the registry to show up, right? So that's what we're going to focus on next. But here's the cool part. The most of the battle is already done, because when you run this, you've already got the code to do all this. Like, you've already got the code to show all this stuff and be done, right? And then we can move on to like being able to like right click and do stuff with it. Um, so for this pop-up menu, let me go ahead and make sure that's properly put on there before we go. So like, then I can show you guys a little bit later on how to right click and actually modify data. See that? So now we can go in here and like right click modify this, and then we could change that up if we really wanted to. Okay, so moving on, how to get it to display the remaining registry values and data so we can actually get it to loop through it and show it to us in here. So to do that, let's look at our events here. We have an on expanding event procedure. This is the really important part, okay? So like, let's go into this one and let's look at some code. So what we have is we're going to first ensure that we're going to be able to allow the root node expansion. So if node level is 0, then obviously allowing expansion needs to be set to true, and we're going to exit. If node count is equal to 0 and node.data is not nil, then we are going to perform the next phase of our application, which is to load registry keys. Of each key that we're currently in's node data, we're going to get those node paths of that node to the node. So what this is responsible for, and by the way, everything after that is allowing expansion, okay? So if you can wrap your mind around this, all we're doing is running through another procedure, which I'm about to take you to load whatever node data that you clicked on, like anything and everything under it. We're going to get those node paths and add them to the tree view, okay? So if I hop in here, right here, it was literally just right down below us. So again, we're going to have to define some variables to be able to go through and loop all this crap, right? The first one you should be doing is integer. I is an integer for localized looping. Then we're going to create a registry, which is a TRegistry. And guys, again, we have to create this pretty much every time we're going to do something, right? Because in order to be able to look at registry, you have to have a TRegistry type, okay? So we're doing very similar to what we did last time. We're going to have the key names stuffed into a t-string list. We're going to have our I, obviously, for localized looping. It's an integer. And then we're going to have our new node that we're going to create inside of the tree view. And we're going to have to add it as a child to the parent node that owns it, right? So this is a t-tree node, okay? So we're going to create our registry in read-only mode, no touchy, right? No touchy, right? We're just looking, right? So we're going to create our registry, and then we're going to do key names is going to be a t-string list.create. We're creating a t-string list in memory to hold our name values inside of itself, right? And then we're going to set the registry's root key to the root key of whatever was piped through to this procedure, which in that case is an H key as a root key, right? So whichever one here, and I'll do this like whichever one we double click on, or whichever one I'm sorry, not double click, but whichever one we expand, get it? It does the loop only for that one, okay? Because otherwise I would have to go all the way down here and I would have to like expand this one, this one, this one. See, it kind of has a delay. You see, the biggest ones are going to be HKey current or HKey classes root and HKey current user, believe it or not. And current user, it loads in less than half a second. So there's really not much really involved. But the class's root, it has a lot of stuff in it, and it is just insane, right? So basically, we're going to set the root key, and then we're going to attempt to open and read only that path, the path that was piped through to us, okay? And so we're going to open that key read-only mode. We're going to get all the keys names, so all the king's horses and all the king's men. You know, we're going to, we're not going to put Humpty back together again, right? Okay, so we're going to get the key names, and we're going to sort them, okay? So we're getting the key names of everything that belongs to that dude, right? And we're going to sort them. And then we're going to add each subkey to the tree view. So we're going to loop here. For I is equal to 0 from the very beginning to all of the key names dot count minus 1. This encapsulates every single one of them that's possibly given to us, right? So in other words, it's all of them. We're going to say new node, and if you'll look, new node is a T-tree node. So we're prepping to add nodes to our thing. So we now have all the key names, and we're going to say new node is equivalent to creating a child node, and it's going to be of the parent node that we clicked on or that we're trying to expand, and we're going to get we're going to put it into the key names I, the current one that we're looping over. So it's like this. When we add a child, we're adding that child to its parent node, and we're giving it its name of whatever it actually represents. Okay, guys? So the new node's data will be equal to node.data. It needs to inherit its parent's root key. Because remember how I told you guys data is like, it's just going to magically know wherever we're at all the time? Well, we have to also therefore assign the data to this. And I kind of messed this up a little bit. Like, you see how, like, if you click on this, it says HKey current classes root. I stuffed the data into RAM. So like when I double click this and this thing expands, when you click on these, see how it only shows the dot SLN40? It's actually supposed to show HKey classes root backslash and then this, but rather than show the whole thing out, I wrote it a little differently, and the computer keeps the first bit in RAM hidden from you, the user. But it doesn't matter because this knows where you are. Like I can click here, here, here. It doesn't matter. Like I can go down through this. I can click here, here, here. It knows everything. Like it literally knows what we're doing, and it does these correct. Like it actually shows like the parent, the sub children, and it shows the backslash and the backslash and the pathway to it. But essentially, for the first root key, I didn't do that correct, like as correct as I'd like. I need to go back, rewrite that a little bit, and make it add it to this. But in order to do that, I may screw up my functions, so I'll have to rewrite them. But I just wanted to show you guys that so you would be confused. So the data that we're adding here is going to be its parent equal to its same parent's data, so that it inherits its parent's root key data. You get that? So in other words, this one knows that it's in HKey current root. This one knows too. This one too. All of them know. Every single one of them know where they're at, which root key they belong to. Okay? You get that? So then we're going to set its image index to 1 for a folder icon. Now, let me show you that. So like if I double click here, you notice how every single one of them is a folder? That's because they represent a key and nothing more. So they're just a bunch of folders. And as you can clearly see, You can go in here, every single thing is a folder. Every single thing is a folder, right? So that is why we do that, okay? So then we're going to say the selected index of it is also 1. Now, what does that mean? Okay, you guys might be a little confused on that. If I click here, believe it or not, when you click on these things, you can change the index of the images. So like, I don't know if you guys could put this in another app, it would be like if you click on HKey current, you could have like a clown face pop up if you clicked on it. You see how they're separate things, like there's image index is defaulted at 1, and the selected index of that image could be something different. It's kind of just something they added in. It's really cool. You can add all kinds of cool stuff in it, but I just wanted to keep it as a folder even when they're selected, okay? So that way they just stay as folders no matter what. You get my point? So that's why I did these two like that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to check for subkeys now, because we have to do this in 2 phases, guys, in order to get literally everything. In order for me to like open this up and expand this, you have to get every one of these base ones like this. But see, this one right here, it looks like it has some stuff inside of it. And see, look, if we pop over to the Windows Registry, like here, let's do this. So this is classes root. So you see that star one right there? You see how over here it's like that too? We've got default, always show, prompt, blah 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 blah. I can open that up and it's got open with list, shell, and shell X. And each of these can be opened. So let's open like this one, and this one. Like you see, we have more stuff inside of all of these. Like, and look, like at the bottom, the context menu handler and all this crap, we can probably open this up too. See, we got even more stuff to open and more stuff to open. Like, you see that? And like, we got more stuff to maybe open there. It just keeps going and going and going and going. And we want to make sure to get every single bit of that in one fell swoop, just one boom, just get it all, right? So that's the second phase here, and then we're done. So like we're really close to being done, guys. So this is, you're adding all the nodes, and then we're also going to check that node that we're currently messing with for subkeys. So we're going to say, we're going to open the key in read-only mode to the path that we're currently at. We're currently messing with this one for read-only opening that one. We're going to check it to see if it has children, okay? So we're going into that path on this key name that we're currently looping over, and we're saying, okay, if it has children, then reg has subkeys. So then we're going to close, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, then that means that it has subkeys inside of it, and we need to make sure that we properly put that thing on there, like the little here, let me show you. See these things, these little, like, here, hang on a minute. You see like this little arrow? That means it has children. You get it? You get me, guys? So that's basically what we're doing here, okay? So if we say dot has children, it's Boolean true or false. So if we put a true check on these, like when we run it, if we put a true check to has children, that means this little icon that's showing a little arrow that you can expand, it's going to show that because it has children inside of it. See, these don't have children, so it doesn't, it's false. Like there's no icon here to expand. But on the star folder, it does have one, which means we can most likely expand it down. And we can also expand these as well, and this one as well, maybe. Nope. See, I do have a few little glitches here and there, but at least it's functional. So like you can go in here and you can open these up, and if they have something, you can keep going in no matter what, and you're all good. I think the problem with mine right now is that I need to reset that Boolean value back to false when going into a new thing to check for the sublist stuff inside, and I think that's why a lot of my stuff inside shows that it has something, even though there's nothing there because you can't open it up or whatever. Very simple to fix. I'll do it later. Check the GitHub repo. I'll try to update it or whatever. But in any case, we're saying if it has children, then reg.has subkeys is true. and then we're going to close the key because we no longer require it. Now, this is on a try statement for this encapsulated, so we also want to make sure that outside of that try statement, if this were to all fail, it closes the key down here as well, just in case, and then we're going to free the key names and free the registry because we no longer require either one of them to be taking up RAM. Okay, and then after that, we're good. We should have all of the key names and everything, right? So guys, moving on. God, it's been an hour explaining this. See, it would have taken even longer if I would have sat here and programmed this whole thing out in front of you guys. It would have taken like 2 hours for me to explain every single line of code. And by the way, in case you're wondering, it literally only took me about 30 minutes to 40 minutes to code this whole damn thing. Delphi is rapid. I mean, it is super fast to develop with. Really awesome. Um, so like, let's move on to the pop-up menu. So like in the pop-up menu, you have modify binary data, delete, and rename. So I got to cover these with you guys, but also I have to cover the main menu for the import and the export, and that's it. So like we got importing, we've got exporting at registry entries, and then we'll be done. So moving on, whenever we run this, if you expand this out and you click on something, let's try to get something. Yeah, right here is good. So you see how we have like full details or something like that? You can right click modify. If you modify that, it's going to let you see all the data that's inside of that entry right over here on in the in the data entry. So you can match it up if you don't see that. Like you can see prop system prop group dot file system right here, and then it has all the continued data. You can just change it to whatever you want and hit OK, and it'll automatically change it for you. Okay. And the same goes for modifying binary data. But the thing about binary data is that you really want to do that only with binary data. So let me pull this up and bring this on down. See this log pixels thing right here? This is binary data. So you could modify the binary data, and you could change this here, and that would change the binary data. And in fact, I'm not actually entirely sure I did this correct. I think it's fine, but you would have to know what you're doing here. I really should rewrite this and make it a better like editor type thing. That way you're editing binary data properly, because we're humans and we can make mistakes in here, right? And if you'll notice, if I go to the, here, if you actually open up Windows Registry Editor and go to the bottom, software, fonts, log pixels, modify binary data. See how it gives you like an editor for this shit? Like it's actually a kind of a binary like editor. And when you hover stuff, it like matches with where you're at, and stuff like that. This is 6000 whatever. So it would be the binary equivalency of 0x00000060. Delphi has components that do this type of stuff. I forget what they're called. Maybe SynEdit. But for now, I'm just keeping it simple and stupid. So that's kind of that. So let's take a look at the pop-up menu, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So to modify data, you want to come in here and say, create a list item for your selected item, the one you're currently selected on, create a TRegistry so we can get in there and start messing with things, and then make a new value as a string, right? The one we're going to inject into the registry, so to speak, right? So if our list view one selected is nothing, which means we didn't select anything, then we're just going to exit. Otherwise, we're going to say that the selected item is equal to the list view one selected item, right? And then we're going to validate that. So if selected item is not nil, or if it equals nil rather, then we're going to say you have to select a value to modify, and then we're going to exit. So if all this checks out up here, so if we're able to actually click on something and get into something, then we're going to say the new value is an input box, and that's all I did, just a simple crappy little like thing here like this. So if I modify that, it's just a straight up yes, no, okay, cancel, dialog input box. That's all it is. And I really should update that to something a little more modern, but oh well. I was trying to write this in a hurry. So I formatted it to where it'll show the selected items caption in the input box. So like here, I'll try to show you that output again. So if you let that roll, modify, see how it's the selected caption of the list view item default in this case. See how it says enter new value for default, and then you can put whatever you'd like in there. This is how that format looks. Okay. So then you're going to we're going to also edit that data for the sub item of one, which is the data or the type. So if the new value is not equivalent to something that was already there, in other words, if we did in fact change it from whatever it was, then we'll proceed. In other words, like if this said like, here, let me go in here, and if we do this, if there's nothing in here, there's no data at all. So if I left it blank and just said okay, it wouldn't change anything, it wouldn't do anything. But it wouldn't do anything anyway because this is default and you can't change default stuff anyway. And I programmed this into the code later and I'll show you that. But it just saying you have to make a valid change in order for us to tick down and do stuff with it. Okay, so the new value. If the new value is not the same as what was already there, then we can say create the registry and we're going to go into write mode. Oh yes, touchy this time. We're going to be messing with stuff, right? So then we're going to say reg.rootkey is equal to whichever one we selected's data, which as you remember, data always knows where it's at because we put it on literally everything on the tree view, so we know exactly what root key we're currently under and looking through. Then we're going to open the key, get node's path, false, we're not expecting anything back, and then we're going to write the value that we actually attempted to change. Now, first of all, a check. If the selected item's caption is default, okay, then we're not going to write anything. Okay, we're just going to put in nothing because again, you can't change default values. You don't want to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? So nothing is going to be written. We're just going to write nothing, okay? And then else, if it's not a default one, which means you selected something other than default, then we're going to go ahead and write whatever you put in the new value field, okay? And the new value is equal to whatever you typed in the input box. You get me? Okay? So then we're going to display, we're going to refresh the display for those values. So in other words, like if you were to come in here, if I was to change this, like just for pretend, if I was to say like hello or something and click OK, it would refresh and hello would show up in data if this wasn't default. You kind of get me? It's just kind of a simple refresh thing. Okay, guys? You follow me so far? Really simple stuff. And then we're going to, if everything went okay, it's fine. Like it's just gonna deal with it. It's just going to close the key and free the registry. But if not, if we don't have UAC permissions or system permissions to be able to do something, we would get an error on an accept message. It would say error writing to the registry. Sorry, can't help you. Whatever. But otherwise, we would just close the key, free the registry, and be finished. See? And that's how simple it is, guys. So that's the modify. Let's move on down to the modify binary data. So again, guys, literally, I don't think I'm even going to cover it. It's literally the same exact thing, literally, except with one small change. You have to convert hex strings to bytes, and that I have that code written here. That's the only difference. Everything else is exactly the same, guys. Like you can literally you got an input box, you change it, whatever you want, it knows what to do, it knows how to go through and find what you're looking for, it converts the hex string to bytes automatically for you, and then it writes to the registry, and that's it. And it does the same accept message. If there's an error, it won't do anything, and then it'll close the key, free the registry, and string free as well in this case, because I do have an extra variable, which is a t-string list. So that's just stuff we're putting in for binary data, and that's it. That's it, guys. It's literally that simple. Now, also moving on to the delete function. This is actually just doing a deletion of the registry key that you're currently selected on. So guys, you can really easily just redo this. If you didn't select anything, nothing's going to happen. If selected item is not nil, blah, 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 just make sure you selected something. The selected's caption is default, then you can't delete a default value. Remember, guys, you can't mess with defaults. Remember I taught you that? You can't do it. It's just not going to happen, right? So down below that, we're just saying confirm the deletion with a message dialog saying, hey, are you sure you wish to delete percent whatever this is that you're trying to delete? And then you got a yes and a no option. If you selected yes, then it's going to create a registry with all key level access. You're going to go into your root key, which is your data, and remember the data knows right where it's at, right? So it knows what key you're trying to look in and whatnot. And yeah, so once you have that, can move on to the last part, which is just rename. So basically all this does is it just has a selected item and a registry and a new name for the registry entry or whatever. It's got the same thing, guys. It's an input box for the new thing that you're going to inject in there and change it or whatever, and it just makes sure that you have an item selected and all this and that. It gives all access to the registry, and you just come down and you write the string to the registry, and that's pretty much it. If it's a it has a case statement here which will essentially detect if it is like a type of string or expanded string, or if it's an integer or a binary, depending on the different type of key entry you're trying to modify, or like delete or whatever you're trying to do. Rename in this case, it will just do it accordingly to the data's type, to the registry data's type. And it will delete the old value, and then it will just display the values and refresh the whole list view, which is over here, and that's that. And it gives you like the updated values that you've done, and that's it, guys. So again, I'd like to just kind of reiterate, the only thing that is not done so far, as far as major features are concerned, would be the find and find next, and the new menu, which if you were to go down here and right click new and create a new key, string value, binary value, D word, which is a double word, which is a 32-bit value, Q word, which is a 64-bit value, multi string value, and expandable string values. I just didn't make this because I just don't have enough time right now, guys. I've actually got to go. This has taken over an hour to make this video. If you keep a close eye on the GitHub repo, I'll try to add this in at a later date. That way you guys don't have to keep guessing and trying to figure out like what you're trying to do. But I mean, honestly, with what I've given you already, you should be able to easily figure out how to create a right-click context menu and just do all this, like adding a key. And a key would be one of these over here, and then a string value would go inside of a key. All of this would go inside of a key. And like a string value, binary, D word for double word, Q word for 64-bit value, multi-string value, and expandable string values would all go inside of here. So, yeah. Well, guys, I hope that you really enjoyed this. Again, I'll run this last time. Just, this is basically what you get. And there's the little about page. You guys can modify the source and make it your own if you'd prefer. And that's that. So you can double click these, expand them, go in, view stuff. You're able to basically look at all the different root keys. You can change, modify, delete, rename pretty much anything and everything in the registry with this. Like I said, the only thing that hasn't been included is the is the new menu to add new stuff in. But other than that, that is how you mess with the Microsoft Windows Registry using Delphi. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next video. Until then, peace out and happy programming.